Shalom, Israel. Glad to have you here with us today. I am Captain Dakar with 15 minutes with the captains, and I have Officer
Tobiel.
And we're here to be able to bring out a lesson this afternoon. Hopefully y'all be able to glean something from this lesson. The lesson is called The Love That Christ Left Behind. That's what we're going to talk about, the love that Christ left behind. And when you look at it, that we all ought to have the attributes of the things that Christ has said for us to do. And keeping the commandments, we could be filled with the Spirit of the Most High. We can be a son. We can be a disciple. We can be a follower. We can be those things that he called us to do. But we really want to talk about it because sometimes people say, oh, I love the Lord, but they don't have the love that Christ left behind. And it is a difference, meaning that as we go through the scriptures, we'll be able to see, because the whole thing is about trying to gain your brother or your sister, and you want them to see that light that's in you, that they can say that is a son or a daughter of the Most High. So we want to talk about the love that Christ left behind. If we would, officer, let's start with in the book of John, chapter 15, verse 7.
Yes, sir. The book of John, chapter 15, verse 7. If ye abide in me, and words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciple.
See what he said? He said, if you abide in me and my words abide in you. The word of God is going to be the thing that brings forth the love of God in you. You have to have the word in you for you. That's wherein your love is perfected in Christ. Read verse 8 again.
Verse 8. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciple.
And that's where you begin to grow. That's where people begin to see that there is a difference about that brother or sister. They begin to see that you are having attributes or your characteristics that other men and women want to follow. And this is how you can gain your brother, gain your sister, because they see that you do have the love of Christ in you. Because he says, so shall you be my disciples. And that's a follower. That's somebody that's doing the work that Christ had called them to do. So we read that. What we want to do is just get more on the love of God. Let's talk about the commandments more. Go into 2 John, verse 6.
The book of 2 John, chapter verse 6.
Verse 6, there you go.
And this is love.
And this is love.
That we walk after the commandments.
That we do the things that Christ commanded us to do. When we begin to perform it, that's why I was saying earlier, and this is, I know that you are my disciple. Read on.
This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it.
And that we should walk in it. And, you can see that, some of the characteristics that a person should have, love in of itself. Let's touch on some of those love. Let's touch on some of those characteristics. 1 Corinthians 13. 1 Corinthians 13. We'll come back. But we want to touch on some characteristics. 1 Corinthians 13.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13.
Yeah. Verse 1.
Verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Though I speak with the tongues of man and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy,
read,
and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing.
Read on.
And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profit me nothing.
Here's the point. Read.
Charity suffer long.
So now, if you have the attributes of charity, if you have it, it was giving us some reference points that if you don't have it, you can have other gifts that you can do, but it doesn't profit you. So then he began to talk about charity, how it conducts itself. This is how charity conducts itself. This is what we're talking about, the love that Christ left behind. Read on. Read that verse again. Charity.
Charity suffer long.
So a lot of times in the body of Christ, and when you're dealing with saints, when you're dealing with brothers and sisters, you have to find out that it's going to take, you got to be patient. You got to be patient with people. It is a requirement that you be patient with them. Charity suffers long. And there's sometimes when you get in here and you can even hear that, you know, for an example, somebody might have some concerns or something, they're going through a family issue or something. They want you to hear them out. They want you to tell, because where they came from, it may be a place where it was difficult for them, and they just need somebody to listen to them. So it's important that you find yourself being charitable to them, even in something like that. It says charity suffers long. Read on.
And is kind.
And it's kind. You know, you have to, sometimes you have to put yourself in a place where you're kind to people. I'm not saying that we're not talking about nobody running over you, but we're talking about the characteristics that Christ left behind, the love that Christ left behind. We have to be in a place where we show forth kindness toward people too, Israel. It's vital that they may see his good works and that the Father may be glorified. That's what Christ was talking about a little earlier. We'll get back to that. But read on.
Charity envy not.
Mm-hmm.
Charity vaunted not itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not puffed up.
You see that these things you don't find yourself conducting, or as we say oftentimes, out of the Spirit. And that's the same thing. If you're following Christ, if you're trying to be an example to the church, if you're trying to help your people, the love that Christ left behind us, we have to have those attributes. We have to have those examples too. We can't find ourselves being puffed up. We can't find being impatient. You know, we can't find ourselves not being charitable or long-suffering. You know, well, I get with you next week. You know, sometime a brother may call, you know, may want some time. And a lot of times brothers preface themselves. They say, hey, Shalom, how you doing, Cap? I say, hey, I'm doing fine, officer. How you doing? He said, you got a minute? That's already let me know he want to talk. There's something he want to talk about. I said, yeah, bro, we good right now. And he's trying to tell me that there's something that he want to discuss. Right. And when brothers take out the time, they're trying to tell you have to be long-suffering toward brothers like that. You know, I know we're busy. I know our life, there's a lot going on. I get it. You know, but those 5 or 10 minutes that you give that brother, that sister, it can mean a lot in their day. You know, it can help them throughout their day. And so that's the charitable or the patience or the kindness that we should have. Is that all that? Read on, officer. I think there's some more down there.
Yeah. Verse 5.
Uh-huh.
Doth not behave itself unseemly.
This is us. This is the love that Christ left behind. We shouldn't be behaving and acting unseemly. This is the love he left. This is, you say, you know, I love you, Christ. This is what he left us. This is how we're supposed to act. Read on.
Seeketh not her own.
So it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the nation. This is part of the love that you say you have for him. Read.
Is not easily provoked.
And you won't be getting out of spirit. You won't be going off so quick. You won't. Because remember now, it's about you saying that you had these attributes and that you love Christ. Read on.
Think of no evil.
You don't think evil of his brother or sister. Read on.
Rejoice not in inequity.
And he won't be rejoicing in things and other people's failures, for an example. He's not rejoicing in that. You know, he's not rejoicing in somebody that didn't get, they trying to get a home loan and they weren't qualified. You shouldn't rejoice in that. Right. That's your brother, your sister. You should want the best for them. Is that all of it?
Some more. But rejoice in the truth.
But rejoices in the truth, in this gospel, in keeping these commandments, as Christ so had commanded us that's what we should do. So, with that, officer, let's go back to where we were. Let's go back into John. So, pick it up at John 15.
All right. The book of John, chapter
9 and 10.
15, verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
As the Father have loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love.
That's what we have to do. We have to continue in the love that the Father has bestowed or put in Christ. Now that he says that now the love that I've got, I'm going to put it in you. It's that same love. And it said that it continues, that it should continue in us, that people should see. That brother, you know, he loves the Lord. You know, you could see him by his works. Man, every time you turn around, that brother's putting in, you know, some major work in his truth. the brother loves the Lord. Every time around, that sister's putting in some work in the kitchen. That sister loves the Lord. And that's what they're doing. It's a continual love. It's continue to help build, establish the nation of Israel. It should continue. It should continue. Read that again.
As for the Father have loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love.
Read.
If ye keep my commandments.
Now, if the matter of fact, if you keep these words that Christ had said earlier, these words abide in you, these same words abide in you. If you keep these commandments, read.
Ye shall abide in my love.
So now you have the love that he said that you should continue in. It's a way that we should conduct, there's a way that we should walk, and it's a love that Christ left behind that we can fulfill. That's where our joy would come from if we fulfill the will of God. Let's get that. Give me Psalms 48. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
The book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
I delight to do thy will.
That's what it's talking about. When you fulfill the words in you and you fulfill the things that Christ has said, you delight to do these things. That's the work that I was talking about. You delight to work in the kitchen. You delight to work in security. You delight to work in helping the children learn and understand. You would delight in those things. That's doing the will of God, that you're helping the nation be what it can be. And that work that you're putting in is a delight. You should look forward to that thing. You know, you're coming up with lessons for the children. You're coming up with different ways to help build the men up. You're coming up to help support the troops or whatever the case may be in terms of your love that you have for the Most High. And that's a continuing love that we should have. Is that all that?
Some more. Oh my God, yea, thy law is within my heart.
Those words are in my mind, and that shows me that I do, and I'm starting to pick up, I'm starting to grow and have this love for my people. And yes, there's going to be trials. Yes, there's going to be trouble. Yes, things is not going to be perfect, but you're learning how to grow. You're learning how to show forth the love in this truth. So let's continue on. Let's go back to Matthew 7 and 16.
Gotcha.
Matthew.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
Read that again.
Ye shall know them by their fruits.
Uh-huh.
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
It said that you should know them by their fruit. You should know the attributes of a person that has the love or begin to have the attributes in following after Christ. You should know you should know them. You should know that by the fruit that they bear, you can see the works that they're doing. You should have that mindset. You should see. Those things are visible. You can see. Read it from the top again. Call and read it.
Yes, sir. The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
Ye shall know them by their fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
Read on.
Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bring forth evil fruit.
Right. You know if a person not doing right, you know that they're not being sincere. That's why I was talking about earlier, that charity and being kind, being long-suffering. Those are the attributes, because in the body you're going to find yourself, dealing with some thistles sometime. You're going to see some people in here that's going to be acting that way. They're going to be acting a little corrupt. They don't know how to be kind yet. They don't know how to be patient yet. They don't know how to be long-suffering yet. So you have to be that person that helps them, and bring that they may begin to bring forth good fruit, that they may begin to bring forth righteous fruit. They don't come in here like that. They're not coming in like that. We're like, yeah, that a boy. No, that ain't happening. They got to change. They got to be renewed in the spirit of their mind. And they have to cast down that old man. So it takes a little bit. But for us, the ones that can help them, that we have to take out time with them, yeah, you have to take out time with them. Yeah, you have to be patient, long-suffering with them, Israel. It's going to take all of that. Is that all that?
Yeah, verse 17, what am I going to read on?
Read 17 again.
Verse 17, Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit.
That corrupt tree bringeth forth, a person that's not patient, a person that's not long-suffering. So it brings forth those things. And so the point of the matter is that we want to make sure that it says, go back up to 16 again.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 16. Ye shall know them by their fruits.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for those that are doing the things that Christ told them to do, and that they're obeying, they're growing in the gospel, they're keeping the commandments. You should know them by the fruit that they bear. So with that, let's go into a little bit of this. Let's go back to John, and I want you to go over to John. We was in 15, but this time I want you to go into 14. No, 15, stay in 15. What I want you to do, I want you to go down to 10. That's where I want you to go, to 10.
All right, got you.
Yes, sir.
The book of John, chapter 15, verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love.
Read.
Even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love.
Read on.
These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full.
That's what we was talking about, that when you're keeping them and you're applying yourself and you begin to recognize that what it takes to be a disciple or a follower of Christ, you begin to realize that, some things I can no longer do. You begin to discipline yourself. You realize, listen, it's required me to be a better husband than the husband I was. It requires me to be a better leader. It requires me to be a little more patient. And you see that these attributes are what the word that you're putting in you are starting to abide in you, and it brings forth, or it springs forth, love for other people to see and know. But read on.
These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you.
That my joy. And when we do the will of God, that brings forth joy. Keeping these laws are bringing forth joy. It's telling us that, we are happy in the things that God has commanded us to do. And we realize that's how we should conduct ourselves as sons and daughters. It's your verse 12. You there yet?
I'm finishing verse 11.
Okay, go ahead.
And that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
See what I'm saying? And this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. That love continues. It's a continue. It should continue on. That it should go from one brother to another brother, or the sister, or whatever the case may be, to the other sister. It should be a continuous love. It shouldn't stop. Somebody loving you, but you're not going to love nobody back. The words that's in you, that he said that was in the Father, that's in him. Now they're in you, and they're supposed to continue. Did it stop with? Is it just going to stop with you? You don't think they're supposed to continue? Yes, absolutely, they're supposed to continue. And that that we do what we said earlier, that we want to gain our brother, that we want to gain our sister. Read on.
Verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servants knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you.
So go read 13 and 14 again with me. Read it again.
The book of John, chapter 15, verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you.
Look, listen at this. So he's saying to us, Israel, he said, look, greater love than this, that a man lay down his life for a friend, right? And then he says, if ye are my friends, okay, you are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you. We're only friends of God, and when we do the will of God, when we begin to bring forth that love, that charity that we're supposed to have, we become friends of his. And what happens is that in a case like this is the greater love. So how can we just, you say, well, what are some of the things you can do? There's a lot you can do to show forth this love. Let's do this. Let's go to Matthew 25. Matthew 25.
The book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 35. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in.
So you really didn't know me that well. And you seen that I was lacking some things. I wasn't adequate fed. And you seen that I wasn't adequately in the condition that I needed water. You seen these things. You seen these things about me. Read on.
Naked, and ye clothed me.
And so he says that, look, you came into a place where I needed to be clothed. Read on.
I was sick, and ye visit me.
And when you deal with the body, and as you begin to deal with the nation of Israel, over a course of time, you're going to find out that these things that you're going to be actually doing them. It's people in their lives, the circumstances and things that comes into their life. These things is going to happen. And it's going to happen in the body. And people are going to fall on hard times. And it's not like a hard time. We right there with them. That difficult time is that they're going through is the difficult time that we all are going through. So we're not standing by watching these things happen. But I'm just basically saying that the love of Christ that we should have for one another, it should be exhibited and it should be on display when things like this does come up. When somebody is in a predicament. And it may not be this at this level, but it should be at a place where we found ourselves helping our brother or helping our sister, showing forth the love that Christ left behind. Read on.
I was in prison, and ye came unto me.
Mm-hmm.
Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee in hunger and fed thee?
So he says, he tells Christ, he said, listen, Christ, when did all these things begin to happen? We really never did notice that these things was going on. But what he's sharing with them is that when y'all was gathering the saints together, when y'all was doing the things that y'all was commanded to do, when y'all was going out and reaching the people and they was showing up at school, all of them didn't come into the school and had everything they needed. Some of them needed some things that helped them, and y'all helped them along the way. Some of them came out and had, had to do a 5-year jump. And so when they came out, y'all was there for them. Some of them just didn't have everything. They came out of bad relationships. They was left with not much or nothing. And some of them just needed some food. Y'all was there for them. And because he's asking, said, when did I do these things? Pick it up at that verse.
When saw we thee in hunger and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick or in prison and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
He said, when you done it unto them, when y'all was in the sanctuary, when y'all was building, trying to gather in the elect, he said that's when you was doing it. He said, we didn't know we was doing those things when you was helping the nation of Israel. The time that goes in and stuff like that, and you look back, the brother got a job, the brother's got a well job, the sister end up, getting married to one of the brothers and stuff like that. Those things that they had initially, the problems and concerns they had, you don't even remember. All you see is that the Lord is working things out for people, and you like, that's what they ask, Lord, when did we do it? We didn't know we've done, right. But you doing it as time goes on, as we begin to build a nation, and we have our issues and trials that come, that we work through those things, and we try to help our people get through those things that they're trying to get through. So read that part again, and when did we do those things? Verse 40.
I'll read it from the top. Verse 40. And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
So, Israel, I want you to know that here it is that we're talking about the love that Christ left behind. And that love is in all of us. And it's shared abroad in our hearts that we see that our people have a need of us. And so that we have to continue in his love that Christ did. We can talk about how he died for the nation of Israel. But the love that we need to make sure that we have a love one for another. Right quick, one more precept. Give me this right here. Give me Matthew 22 right quick. Matthew 22. Let me get that. I want to bring this out. Israel, I appreciate you. We're glad to be here with you.
All right.
Bring that out.
37?
It started 38.
38, all right. The book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 38.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Read.
On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it? It said on these two laws hang all. Read that part again.
Let's start at verse 37. That's
Okay.
the point. Verse 37. Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart,
We to love God.
and with all thy soul,
Read on.
and with all thy mind.
And this love should continue. Read on.
This is the first and great commandment.
How should it continue? Read.
And the second is like unto it.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as
Now we
thyself.
have to love our neighbor as ourselves. We say we love the Most High. We love his son. Now we have to continue in that love, that we love one another. With that, Israel, we thank you for being with us, captains, 15 minutes with the captain, the love that Christ left behind. With that, I say shalom.
Shalom, Israel. Most High Christ bless.
Most High Christ bless.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.